In this video, we are going to talk about sum product function. As the name suggests, it returns sum of the product or sum of multiplications of corresponding ranges or arrays. That is, first it calculates the product row by row and then it takes the sum of the result. Let's see this with an example. Here we are selling our products on a third party e-commerce platform and they are charging some commission for their services. I have created this random data using the 5 functions I absolutely love: sequence, choose, random between, date and random array. So to calculate the total sum, we can create a new column by multiplying quantity, price and commission, and then finally by adding it using AutoSum or normal sum function to get our total sum. Now this involved creating a new column. Sum product function allows us to do this in a single cell, which helps us save space and effort. If we write sum product and we select quantity values as our first array, price as our second array and post commission as the third array, we got the same result. What Excel did in the background is that it did a row by row multiplication of the 3 columns and then it finally did the sum, which is what the function suggests. So it multiplied 7 with 8 and zero point 0.1. The company is charging way too much commission for this product. Then it will repeat the same for next row, 4 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 1 and so on. Again, that's what the name suggests, sum of the product. For people who are familiar with Power BI, sum product is similar to SumX, which also does the sum of an expression row by row. When we had multiple columns as input, Excel first multiplies and then adds. But if we have only one column, Excel simply adds the column values because it has nothing to multiply it with. For example, if we use the sum product just on the quantity, it will return the sum of the quantity because there is no row by row calculation here. The important thing to note here is that all columns should be of the exact same size. If we change the range of one of the column, it will start giving us hash value error. Let's look at some more scenarios. We want to calculate the revenue generated but only for product 4. Now can we do it using any of the functions we have learnt as of now? SumIf comes to mind. We can use product name as our range, product 4 as our criteria, and this range as our sum range. If we validate it, it works fine. But can we do it without creating this column? We can do it using sum product. Yes, sum product allows us to perform logical checks as well. Let's see this with an example. So here we write sum product and in our first array, we write our logical check. In this range, which cells are product for? Then we select the other 3 ranges: quantity, price and post commission, and we should get our value. It returned 0. Let's see what happened. When we did a logical check, Excel converted these cells into true and false based on if the condition was matched. The problem is Excel is treating true or false as text. It is not able to multiply it with the other ranges, which is why it is giving it as 0. If we multiply the logical check with 1, Excel automatically changes our true to 1 and false to 0. Remember, you have to always put your conditional check in a bracket. So we got the exact same result. How cool is that? Let's quickly understand this one more time with this sheet. So here true are replaced by 1 and false are replaced by 0. And when we multiply these 4 columns together row by row and add them, we get the value we were looking for. We can write the same function in a different format as well. Instead of specifying comma between ranges, we can use the multiplication sign as well. It will tell Excel that it needs to multiply these column values row by row before finally adding the output. Let's look at this syntax as well. Here, instead of using comma, when we use star, it gave us the same result. This is the preferred syntax when we are doing logical comparison, because here we don't even have to multiply it with 1. When Excel finds our boolean needs to be multiplied with any other column, it automatically changes the value from true or false to 1 and 0. Let's look at another scenario where we want to capture rows where the product is either product 1 or product 4. We can do this using sum product easily. We write sum product, then we select our product range and we compare it with the product 4. We need to close the bracket. Since we want to do OR comparison, we will use plus operator and then we will use the same range and we will select product 1 for comparison. Remember, whenever you are having multiple conditions for comparison, you need to have them separated from the rest of the array inside a bracket. Let's specify the rest of the ranges and we will get the value we were looking for. Let's add couple of more conditions apart from our product check. The employee should be Sam and the region should be West. Now can we take the count of quantity for these conditions? We can. For our OR condition in product, we are going to use plus symbol, and for the AND condition, we are going to use star. We need to make sure we separate the conditions with brackets and then we just multiply it with quantity and we get the sum of quantity which satisfies the condition. If we press F9, we will see what's happening here. Let's see this in detail with this table. Where we had product 1 or product 4, the same was replaced by true or 1 because it matches the condition. Similarly, wherever we had West and Sam, it was replaced by 1. Now since we used AND between these 3 columns, these 2 rows that have 1 in all the 3 columns will be used in sum product. So it will be 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 4, and the same for the next row, which will give us 9. Now instead of just taking the count, if we want to take the sum of revenue generated by this combination, we can add the price and commission as well, and then we will get the sum. If you want to calculate the average, we can just divide the sum by count and it will give what we are looking for. For me, sum product basically comes in handy for row level calculations. As I said in my first video, there are different ways to solve a problem. You can add a column with the multiplied output and then you can use sum function as well. But this is pretty cool, and when you use it a couple of times, you get a hang of it.